Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes into Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Barakathum to you brothers, man. And the title of this video lesson through the Spirit is Financial Warfare, right? Financial warfare in the Middle East, specifically with Iran. They're going back and forth because, Esau, he is also at war financially, right? And definitely with the Israelites. The Israelites are at a financial disadvantage. Right, you can see that Esau has enough money to spend on, whatever he wants. These different weapons, right? And this is only gonna increase. And this is a beautiful sign that this is only, gonna heat up more. Because once you start to play with Esau's money, he get, you play with Esau's money, he get physical. I'm gonna go ahead and play this so that I can just move on from that and go to the scriptures.
Iran declares U.S.-Israeli economic banking interests in region are targets by Al Jazeera staff. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has threatened to attack economic centers and banks related to United States and Israeli entities in the region after what it called an attack on an Iranian bank, with the war in its 12th day. A spokesperson for the Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters, a group described as IRGC, owned by the United Nations, said on Wednesday that the enemy left our hands open to targeting economic centers and banks belonging to the United States and the Zionist regime in the region. It warned that people of the region should not be within a 1-kilometer radius of banks. The Americans should await our countermeasure and our painful response, it also added. Iran's counterattacks have continued as explosions have rocked Tehran, as Iran stated that U.S. and Israeli forces have bombed nearly 10,000 civilian sites in the country and killed more than 1,300 civilians since the war began on February 28th. The IRGC-affiliated Tasnim news agency released a list of offices and infrastructure run by top U.S. companies with Israeli links whose technology has been used for military applications, describing them as Iran's new targets, said Al Jazeera's Maziar Motamedi, reporting from Tehran. As the scope of the regional war expands to infrastructure war, the scope of Iran's legitimate targets expands, the agency said. The companies include Google, Microsoft, Palantir, IBM, NVIDIA, and Oracle, and the listed offices and infrastructure for cloud-based services are located in multiple Israeli cities, as well as in some Gulf countries, said Motamedi. Iran's state broadcaster on Wednesday said that an Israeli attack overnight on a bank branch in Tehran was an illegitimate and unusual act in war, and that the enemy has declared economic centers and banks tied to the U.S. and Israel as targets themselves.
Damn. This is some of the items they've been using.
The use of drones in warfare has expanded dramatically, and few designs are more successful than Iran's Shahed 136 one-way attack drone. It's cheap to make at around $30,000 for each drone and can transport a 50-kilogram warhead over 2,000 kilometers. Russia has used the design extensively, calling it the Garan 2, with an 80-kilogram warhead and equipped with a Russian satellite navigation system. Even the United States has adopted the design for its low-cost, uncrewed combat attack system, or LUCAS, with several commanders calling it indispensable. The Shahed 136 can be made quickly and in large numbers, in relatively simple factories, and several can be fired at once, overwhelming defenses. It also doesn't need complex launchers that can be targeted in airstrikes. It's slow, though. At a top speed of 185 kilometers an hour, fighter jets and even helicopters can shoot it down. Still, many have managed to get through US and Gulf air defenses to inflict significant damage. And now, a faster jet version of the drone, the Shahed 238, has entered mass production.
قطعاً همچنان از اهرم مسدود کردن تنگه هرمز باید استفاده شود و در مورد گشودن دیگر جبهه‌های آسیب پذیر دشمن فعال سازی آن در صورت استمرار وضع جنگی و بنابر رعایت مصالح صورت خواهد گرفت.
انهدام نفتکش امریکایی در محدوده شمال خلیج فارس. درود بر جمهوری اسلامی ایران. رزمندگان نیروی دریایی سپاه پاسداران انقلاب اسلامی.
Yeah, it's going down.
Is Iran's new supreme leader speaking now?
Aims and goals have been foiled and aborted. He also confirmed the necessity of continuing the defensive activity, and he also added that it's important to continue the closure of Hormuz Strait, or the Strait of Hormuz. Also, he said the path of the war, or the route of the war, will continue depending on the interests of the parties. Also, he expressed his solidarity with those who lost their lives and with the wounded and their families, and confirmed that there will be revenge for the blood of the martyrs, particularly the children who are at the school of Mina. In another part, the Supreme Leader pointed out that there will be a message to the officials in the countries of the region. They must know that Iran is quite keen on the relations between Iran and the countries of the region, adding that the enemy wants us to be in different moods in order to control our region. He said that Iran has warned previously that the...
Let's get a precept. Alright, this is the book of Jeremiah 4:31. For I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, in the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion, that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is weary because of murders. Yeah, so, going back to the article, don't play about, his money. So if they're attacking, financial systems, or, whether it's some sort of, false flag or something like that, that part really doesn't matter, because ultimately we know that, hey, this is, and this is also going to eventually lead to the C.hip. As well, because physical cash, it's finna be dangerous to start carrying physical cash, physical cards. So for safety, they're gonna wanna, they're gonna wanna incorporate the C.hip, so you don't lose it. So, because nobody's gonna, wanna rip your arm off for a C.hip. But you are going to have individuals that are gonna get their hand removed. Yeah, Esau's technology is so great that somebody could try to do that, remove a hand, and then they just recognize in the C.hip that the person is gone, that they're expired. Because they can't read BP as well. So it's going to know that, okay, the BP is 0. So obviously, okay, this is, no longer, this is an expired chip. And it's finna get even worse out here. These different, fights that are breaking out. And the Israelites, they don't want to pay attention, right? They not crying and sighing, right? They want to build a empire with the murderers. Shit, sickening. Jeremiah 5:4. Therefore I say, surely these are poor, they are foolish, for they know not the way of the Lord, nor the judgment of their power. Yeah, and going back to Jake, right, the Israelites, 2/3 of our people don't understand that these different things that are happening is going to lead to World War III, right? The C.hip, and then eventually World War III. I will get me unto the great men. I will speak unto them, for they have known the way of the Lord, and the judgment of their power. But these have altogether broken the yoke and burst the bonds. Wherefore a lion out of the forest shall slay them, and a wolf of the evening shall spoil them, and leopards shall watch over their cities. Every one that goeth out thence shall be torn in pieces, because their transgressions are many, and their backslidings are increased. And that's, what it's going to get to is eventually, it's going to be dangerous to even go outside. How shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me, yea, and going back up to right here, our people, the Israelites, they, even though they see a couple of these different things happening, they don't have the ability to line it up with prophecy. So they continue to get mad, getting mad at the doctrine, not seeing that this, these different instances, all these different things that are happening today, and, in the past and in the future, everything that's happening is prophecy. Jeremiah 5:7. How shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me, and sworn by them that are no gods. when I had fed them to the full. They then committed adultery and assembled themselves by troops in the harlots' houses. And, serving other gods, going and, one of the main, false teachings, Christianity, plantation Christianity. They were as fed horses in the morning. Everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. Yeah, that's, rampant. Shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord? And shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? So the Lord is going to come back. Okay, not only that, he going to use the Israelites later on in the kingdom, right? When the kingdom is established, he going to use the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? Going to use them to, right, basically be the nation of righteousness, right? That's going to lead all the other nations, okay, in the worship of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And you can only be an Israelite if you are a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, or you're, the line of your father goes back to the Israelites. That's it. No other nations. I say the truth in Hamashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bears me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and the promises. All right, so this is all about the Israelites. All right, salvation is for the Israelites. All these different events that are happening, all right, the end goal, okay, and what we know is going to happen is the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be saved, and everyone else here in Babylon the Great, aka America, is going to be burnt up by those ICBM intercontinental ballistic missiles. Romans 9 and 4, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. Yes, so only the Israelites can be grafted in. And the glory and the covenants, these laws, statutes, and commandments, and these, the promises that the Lord has set up, this inheritance, right? And the giving of the law, yeah, so when you see a heathen eating a piece of octopus, that's just what he do. That's just what he do. He's a heathen. All right, so and now that the Israelites, now they're following a dietary law. Now all of a sudden the heathen want to talk about, that don't matter. That don't matter. Okay, well, if it don't matter, then shit, then don't pay attention to it. Right? And it bothers the heathen that we are the Israelites. Romans 9 and 4, continuing down. In the giving of the law in the service of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And like brothers constantly bring up this fact, you don't see no heathen camps out on the highways and byways. And it ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna see, 40 Moabites out, on the highways and byways, bringing out the 100% doctrine of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And if it is, and if they are out there, then those are Israelites. Hey, Great Millstone done gone global. You got a brother out there in Australia. That's all the way on the other side of the world. Romans 9:5 says, "Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh of Mashiach, came." Yes, so the Lord came and is coming back for the Israelites. He ain't coming back for you other nations. It says, "Who is over all," right? So in the kingdom, the Lord is going to be set up over all. The ruler of the earth. And who gave that to him? The Heavenly Father. Yahweh. So Yahweh created Yahushua. Alright. Yahushua created the 144,000. And then Yahushua, over the 144,000 created everything that you currently see, and like it's constantly being said, everything is made of different elements, which the Lord created all these different elements, and He used the 144,000 to do His will, man. See, the 144,000 will have the honor to do the Lord's will in the kingdom. A very special place. The 1/3 is a very special place. 12,000 men out of each tribe, equaling 144,000. That's going to be the governing body of the kingdom of heaven, man. And we truly believe this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Alright, being taught by our elder apostles at Great Millstone. And that's why, speaking on that, once you go down a couple of verses, it speaks about wicked ass Jake. Because here it is, we have all these things right here, yet Jake want to bypass that. So that's why, verse 6 is spoken about. Romans 9:6. Not as though the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Yeah, so these niggas, 2/3 of these niggas, they got to go. They gotta go. It is what it is, man. In order for the kingdom of heaven to be established, they gotta go. And then they can come back, through the loins of the elect. It says, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children yet. So you got a lot of different nations that came from Abraham. Yet it only matters truly, once you get to the Israelites. Now, of course, Abraham had a very key, pivotal role and everything. Yeah, we all know that, it's Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob. That's when this all lines up. This is how it's prophesied to line up. Romans 9 and 6. Not as though the word of Yahweh from the outside said the mother said, they are not all Israel which are of Israel, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are their own truth. But Isaac shall have seed and call their son, so he had two sons, Jacob and Esau. Because how he found blessing, he used it. He's blessed about to expire, and our blessing about to kick in. Not meant that is, they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of Jehovah from the outside. Yes, so everybody else besides the Israelites are heathens. But the children of the promise are counted to the seed. There is a specific number of Israelites. Well, you don't know the number. You don't even got to worry about thinking about the number. It's a lot, though. And when it's, revealed who's who, the wheat and the tares. 13 and 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, right? The Israelites. And more specifically, the elect. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. So it's going to be revealed who's who. It's a lot of, brothers constantly say this, it's a lot of chocolate Edomites out there. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. And so therefore, the tares are gathered and burned in the fire. So shall it be in the end of this world, and that's coming. That's coming in our lifetime. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, which is his whole place. This whole shit offensive. This shit is the worst. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear, right? The elect. And the righteous is going to shine forth, the Israelites, the elect. Right? Shine forth as the sun, bright. Bold, bright. Shining. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field. The which, when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Yes, so when we first came to the truth, we just, we went in there first. You see something, you just, it just instantly, as soon as you see it, you get attached to it. That's the Lord, and that's the Lord putting, the Spirit on us, coming to this truth. He's breathing that breath of life into us. The water Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. If you got Jake, you got Jake for money, you got all these different Jakes. Yet, always be alert in this truth. Matthew 13, 45 says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Gotta have it. Gotta have prophecy. Gotta have the scriptures. Right? Gotta have Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in our corner. That's the only way to live. That's the only way to survive. These people survive off of all sorts of other things that they don't look towards the Lord. We look towards the Lord, so the Lord, even though the Lord puts us in situations that we wouldn't deem, just the best situation. Ultimately, we in the best situation because we have this truth. You see, this truth, every time we, get into the scriptures, every day, further along every day, it's like saving up more money through the Spirit. A spiritual bank account, like brothers always go into. Matthew 13, and 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind. Yeah, so the Israelites are, all throughout the four winds of the earth, which when it was full, they drew to shore and sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So the elect are going to be selected. Everything else is going to be destroyed here in Babylon the Great. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. And physically sever. Motherfuckers getting cut in half. And then of course the Lord coming back in that salvation chariot and saving the elect. Beaming up the elect. Matthew 13 and 50. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Yahushua saith unto them, have ye understood all things? They say unto him, yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. Right, so we are, managers of the house, so to speak. You know, depending on, you know, the guest, you might break out the good china, break out the good cups, break out the good bowls. You know, so as the Lord is on his way to return, moving this around. Okay, getting like when you prepare, you know, for a guest, this is the ultimate guest, the Lord coming back. And that's why the Spirit is on us, Lord's will, to continue and to go as hard as we can. Lord's will through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I increase in lessons, increase in faith, right? Increase in prayer, increase in fasting, increase in studying, right? Further in the ministry of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And Lord's will, all you sincere Akim do as well. Alright, continue to pray for you, brothers. Lord's will, you brothers, pray for me through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because we households, we servants, alright, that's why we look at brothers with, you know, love and respect. Because this is a fellow servant. You know, we've never looked down on a brother because of what he got or don't got, or jealous of a brother at all. That's out of pocket. Right? If a brother got whatever, you know, that's what he got. Alright, we understand that through the Spirit. See, because as things get worse here in Babylon the Great, you know, the haters, they're going to really be showing themselves. You know, you ain't going to be able to just walk around. See, like these rappers walk around with a bunch of chains and shit. Soon enough, they ain't going to be able to be walking around with no big-ass gold chains. You know, big diamond chains and shit, diamonds in their beanie, diamonds in their forehead and their face. Alright, a nigga gonna rip those out. It's gonna get that bad out here. And that's just kind of going on down into something a little different. Alright,